The NFL Combine's not too far away. The NFL Draft's not too far away after that. And you're scratching your head wondering what you're going to do in your rookie draft. You're trying to figure out what your Dynasty fantasy football team needs. One thing you do know is this draft is jacked up at wide receiver. There's a lot of wide receivers to look at. Who you're going to draft in the first round. Who you're going to pick with those selections that you gathered all throughout the years getting to this point. Brian Thomas Jr. is one of the wide receivers we're looking at here in the first round of rookie drafts. He's jacked up there. He's getting mocked in the first round in a lot of drafts right now. He's a big-time prospect. We're going to talk about him today. We're going to go over his portfolio, whether or not you should be drafting him in the first round, and also how good can he be at the NFL level. But before we do all that, you need to click that subscribe button because we're going to help you win your rookie draft. We're going to help you build your dynasty team, and we're going to help you pick the best players from this 2024 NFL draft for your rookie drafts this year. Click that button. Stop missing out. But now it's time to look at Brian Thomas Jr. right now. And we're going back to the high school days because we got to start from the beginning. And if you're going to talk Dynasty and go all the way back to the beginning, you might as well talk to the guy who looks at high school recruiting on his channel every single day. And that's why we do it here. 4-star prospect, ranked 9th in his class in the 2021 recruiting class. 6'4", 190. That's good size for a high school recruit at the wide receiver position and going to LSU. Looking at him as a prospect, I would tell you I'd be jacked up about that. A 4-star prospect who got 16 offers. 16 offers isn't a lot of offers. I like to see him get 20 or more. But the next step is seeing who are sending those offers. Looking down the line here, just skimming the top. LSU, Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida. SEC schools, top-tier programs. That's letting me know that the market was hot on him. That's letting me know that the market's saying, hey, he's a good prospect. He's a guy we got our eye on. We think he can develop here at the college level. We want to take a chance on him. LSU won out. They were able to sign him, and then it took them a few years. But it's LSU. It's going to take you a few years to climb the depth chart there because they're loading up at wide receiver every single year. That's just a position they're good at striking gold at in the recruiting process. We're seeing it right now here in 2024. We're pointing out some wide receivers that they're hitting on that's looking good on tape. He's another one. Busted out in 2023 with 1,100 yards and 17 touchdowns. On his career, we got a few 100-yard games to his name. Best one against Florida this year with 150 yards on 6 catches, scoring 2 touchdowns. Also against Florida State, 142 yards, 1 touchdown off 7 catches. Racking up yards against top-tier competition. Also against Arkansas, 133 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mississippi, 124 yards, 3 touchdowns. We got to give me against Army, Georgia State. But we're racking up yards against Wisconsin here. 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. Grambling State, another easy one. Missouri, 66 and a touchdown. Louisiana Monroe, 61. Mississippi State, 60. Again, these are all his performances of 50-plus yards. And we got a fair amount of 100-yard games because he went off last year with 1,100 yards, 17 touchdowns. Prior to that, back-to-back 300-yard season, 7 touchdowns to his name total. This year, posted about 27% market share, pushing about 30% range. Broke out at age 20, his 3rd year at college football at LSU. Again, that's a good breakout age. You don't want him past 20 years old. You really like him at 18, 19, but it's good enough to get the job done. Looking at yards per team pass attempt, we're pushing 3 here at age 20. Lower level at 18, 19, but still we got a serviceable to good breakout age here at 20 years old. It's a prerequisite saying, hey, he's got the opportunity. The odds aren't stacked against him from him exceeding expectations at the next level. It's not saying, hey, he is going to break out. It's saying, hey, he's hitting these prerequisite numbers saying that the odds are higher for him to break out because he's not a late breakout at the college level. And the reason why late breakouts can be an issue is because you're an older player playing against 18-year-old players. If you're 21, 22 years old, you're more of a man playing more of against boys, against 18, 19, 20 years old. Little bit different. You got more time to develop. You should be more at the top end when you're 18, 19, 20. There's more upside for you to develop. That being said, we're hitting our markers here, which is a good thing. Yards after the catch per reception might be an issue here. 5.3 on his career, 5.7 in 2023. The devil's advocate to that is the average depth of target. We're seeing a lot of deep balls. 13.9 average depth of target on the season here. That's what I like about him and the numbers. That's where I think he can excel at the next level. You see it on tape. You see it on the field. You see that release package because it's quick. His feet are efficient. He's blowing past DBs off the line, and then he's getting downfield, beating the secondary. Seeing those deep balls, getting those opportunities deep downfield. That means later on down the road, if he's seeing routes, if he's seeing snaps, if he's getting those opportunities, could be a splash play monster, especially in the right offense, and if he develops to his upside. If he develops to his upside here, and we're seeing a guy that can get downfield, make plays happen here with that swift footwork, and then his ability to put on the jets, we might see a guy here win downfield, and then have those games where he's putting up 20 to 25, 30 fantasy points. That ADOT at 13.9 and those deep plays we saw at LSU, that could transition to the next level. That could allow him to get drafted in the first round. A lot of people are mocking him in the first round in the back half, which is exciting to see. And then also where you're looking at the targets here, you're seeing a lot downfield, and PFF is grading him pretty good downfield. That means when we get to the NFL level, hopefully their offensive coordinator, where they're having him strategized at, have him running routes at the right depth here, because sometimes that doesn't always happen. But if he's seeing those deep balls, we might see a good marriage for fantasy production. Will it be consistent? Will he have to grow into it? We shall see, but the opportunity could be there. He's also scoring well over the middle. Most of his opportunities is between 5 to 10 yards, which is the average, but he's also seeing a lot of deep ball attempts, which is good to see for fantasy football, especially if you need some time to develop into your role. It really depends on where he goes, how he's drafted, who's on the other side, who's his quarterback, everything else. But his strengths, his footwork off the line of scrimmage, his ability to jet past the defender, his ability to jet past the entire defense, his ability to make plays downfield. He can create separation because he's quick, he's fast. His release package is nasty. That's an underrated part of his game, but he wins it at the line of scrimmage and puts the stamp on things downfield. When we're talking about his weaknesses, needs to really be stronger at the catch point, be more physical. He drops balls, but I don't really hold that against too many wide receivers. I'm not too worried about it, but he does have 13 drops on 176 career targets. Yak, I would like to see him tap into that a little bit more, but he's seeing a lot of deep balls. He's going to be a deep ball guy at the next level. I don't think he's going to live on the shorter routes. Once he makes it to the NFL, you're going to push this guy downfield. You're going to have him stretch the field. You're going to have him make plays. You're going to have him use that length and those ball skills to send it home. Maybe you have another wide receiver on the other side who's more of a wide receiver 1, or another wide receiver 1 and he's just a wide receiver 1B, depending on how he develops into his role. That being said, I like him a lot. And I like him a lot, and so doesn't NFL.com. They have him graded pretty good. 6.39 prospect grade, will eventually be a plus starter. To me, when I read that, he's going to be a starter who's going to contribute. With that being said, he will be a guy that's going to score fantasy points. That's what they're saying. He's going to be a guy that's going to have some value in fantasy. to some capacity. Do not know where that's going to be. Could be a top tier guy, wide receiver 12 range, wide receiver 24 range, or a splash play guy who's on the field stretching it, but every now and again he gets those deep targets and brings it home. That could be on the lower end of the spectrum here, might be somewhere in the middle, but they're projecting him out to be productive at the NFL level to some capacity there. And if you're drafting him in the first round of rookie drafts, him getting a first round draft capital, what we're seeing here in mock drafts, you could be on to something. And if he hits on splash plays, he could be winning you some weeks. And with him getting draft capital, which he is projected to do so, because we're seeing it here, average being drafted around 22nd overall, that's not written in concrete. Could fall in the draft. We see a lot of players fall in the draft. We got to see when we get to the combine. But when we're looking at his prospect profile, we do see a lot of upside. And with that being said, if he holds strong to this, he's going to hold his value for quite a bit. You get to see the goods as a rookie. If you like what you see, you can hold and flip no matter what, whatever you want to do with him. But the draft capital is a good indicator that he's going to be getting some opportunities early in his career. At least see some snaps, see some routes, and from there, we got to see what happens. But when it comes to Brian Thomas Jr. and to what I want to do with him, I do want him in a lot of drafts. I like him in more of the back half of the first round, middle-ish of the first round, and I believe a lot of people feel the same way because I see that in a lot of rookie mock drafts. I'm talking super flex, 1 QB, just push that up a little bit more, but I believe he is one of the top wide receivers in the draft, one of those wide receivers I'm trying to get. I like the ADOT. I like that he can make plays downfield. And think about when we talk about fantasy prospects in season, guys we're plucking off the waiver wire, guys we have on the end of our bench, rookies we're stashing. We want those wide receivers with upside. Those wide receivers with upside that surprise us are the guys who see targets downfield, those guys who see those deep ball attempts, those guys who blow up randomly every 5 games, get you a 25 spot that could allow you to win your week. Those guys that are hopes and prayers in DFS. Those are the players you want to take shots on to see if they hit, because if they can hit past that, develop into something more, then you're going to be getting a lot of value in Dynasty Fantasy Football and Fantasy Football in general. With him getting draft capital, with him being a younger wide receiver, he's going to hold his value for a little bit. If you don't like what you're seeing, if you do not like where he's at, you can always move on. You have some opportunity there, some flexibility to do what you want to do with him. Landing spot is going to matter here. If he goes to a team with a quarterback that likes to chuck it deep, say he goes to the Bills, Josh Allen, air yard city there. If he goes to a team that can promote the air yards, that likes to chuck it deep, they have another wide receiver one on the other end, that could allow him to develop more quickly into his role and allow him to give you more results in fantasy football, especially a team that's smart enough to allow him to stretch it deep, allow him to get a good ADOT, allow him to see deep balls, and allow him to play into his strengths. That's going to be a big deal when it comes to him for the future. Let me know what you think about him in the comments below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.